Brent Sopel, Here to Change the World, is a documentary about a hockey player, but it's not a hockey documentary. It's so much more than that. It's a complex look into the lifelong emotional scarring and damage that learning disabilities can have on the youth. If you're not familiar with who Brent Sopel is, he's pretty much the archetype of what most people would consider when they think of a hockey player. He was big, strong, tough kid from Saskatoon who would play with broken bones, who would fight when necessary, and would put his body on the line for the team. Not only that, but he had a life that most people would be envious of. He had over a decade-long career in the NHL, and in 2010, he won the Stanley Cup with the Chicago Blackhawks. That's what most kids dream and fantasize about. On the surface, Brent Sopel had everything, but on the inside, he was suffering because of his lifelong battle with dyslexia, ranging from the time that he was a kid. Brent suffered with reading, he suffered with writing. He even tells a story in this documentary that you can see deeply scarred him, because even he tells he was in grade 9, he was called on to read for the class. And because of his dyslexia, he struggled and wasn't able to do it. And like most kids who are in grade 9, his classmates were cruel and they ridiculed him, they mocked him, and they made fun of him. And you can tell from this documentary that even though years have passed, that's something that still impacted him. And unfortunately, after his NHL career, Brent basically fell into a downward spiral. He couldn't get a job because he couldn't read and write. And pretty much what happened was he got into drugs and alcohol. But thankfully, the story doesn't end there. This is a story that I feel is something that everybody should see, especially in this time where the media is so, negative and poisonous, that this man who suffered and struggled and battled with this learning disability was able to turn that into a positive. He started a foundation, and he actually is now helping kids who suffer from the same cognitive disability that he did as a child. As I watched this, man, I had such a range of emotion. Within the first 2 minutes, I was like, this is gonna be really good. And then he starts telling his story, and it just grips you because he's so real, and he's so vulnerable, and it's so raw that you don't feel like, oh, he's just doing this and it's kind of an act. Like, you can see in his eyes that everything he's saying is something that he's been dealing with for a very, very long time. And it just, it breaks your heart, because you see this man who seemingly has everything, and he just looks so sad, and he looks so like helpless, so to speak. And then you kind of see that at the end, he's still dealing with these emotions, but he's channeling it to help other people. And I think that this documentary is something that, like I said, everybody should watch, regardless of if you're a hockey fan or not. If you have kids, this is definitely something that you should show your kids, because whether they're dyslexic or not, if you have a kid who doesn't have a learning disability, maybe this will encourage them not to make fun of kids that do. If you have a kid who's dyslexic, this is something that can give them inspiration to say, like, maybe I'm not the only person dealing with this. There's a guy, a Stanley Cup champion, who has dyslexia, and he dealt with the same things that I'm going through currently. It's a very well-made documentary. Like I said in the opening, it's a documentary about a hockey player, but it goes far and beyond just being about hockey. So check this documentary out. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Like I said, it's so rare where you see somebody who's willing to open up about their vulnerabilities and the things that they are insecure about. And this was just a very, very refreshing documentary. I think this is something that is going to hopefully help a lot of kids out and help a lot of people out in general, regardless of whether they're dealing with dyslexia or some other type of problem. So it's only about a 25-minute runtime. It's very short. Check it out if you have time, wherever you are in the world, man. Hope you're having a great day. Go out there, be blessed, and I am out. Peace.